So you got sick and tired of having a dull knife, you bought a whetstone, and you need to know how to use it. Well, let me tell you, this video is going to show you everything you need to know. Now look, there is a fair bit of technique behind how to use a whetstone properly to sharpen your knife. But if you watch this from start to finish, I promise you, you will know exactly how to do this. And once you've got that skill, once you know how to sharpen a knife with a whetstone, you've got it for life. So we should probably start with a definition. What even is a whetstone? Well, a whetstone is essentially a stone made up of tiny little grains that when you run your knife across it, it is actually taking metal off that knife. And while this inherently sounds like a bad thing for your knives, we're taking off a very, very small amount of metal. In fact, so small that it takes years, maybe decades, to actually take off enough metal for that knife to become unusable. Now, we're taking that metal off for a reason. Even the sharpest, best, most expensive knife in the world will eventually get dull, meaning that once upon a time, the edge of your knife was nice and sharp, but after you cut enough things for long enough, that edge became rounded, and it no longer cuts things well anymore. The point of a whetstone is to fix that. We take off metal of either side of the blade until finally we get a point which is again able to cut, and it is razor sharp. As to how much metal we need to take off the knife really depends on how dull or how bad that edge really got. If your edge is still somewhat sharp, you might only need to take a little bit off. But if you've been using that knife for years and you haven't sharpened it once, which is pretty common, the odds are you're going to need to spend some time on it. When we're sharpening knives with a whetstone, and if we do it properly, we generate what's called a burr. So that means we've taken what once was a rounded edge, and we've sharpened one side enough that now there's a bit of metal hanging over the other side of the knife. This is a good thing, and it means that you've sharpened one side correctly. All that is now left to do is to take that other side, you flip the knife over and you sharpen that side until it's essentially symmetrical. So a burr is a good thing, and we're going to keep an eye out as we go through this sharpening process because it's a hallmark feature of us doing a good job and telling us that we're ready now to move on to the next side. The other thing that we need to decide is which grit of whetstone should we use. Now this really will depend on a number of factors, and we don't have enough time today to go through that in this video. But I have filmed another video that you can click right here where you can find out all of that information. In general, we start off with a really low grit stone because that will take off the most metal and it will do the most amount of work of all the stones that we're going to use. Something around the 400 to 800 grit mark would be really good at this. It's going to take off a lot of metal and it will do a really good job at setting a new edge. Once we're finished with that lower grit stone, we move on to a medium grit stone, somewhere in the vicinity of 1,000 to 2,000 grit. Now that stone will further refine the edge, and I actually think 1,000 to 2,000 grit range is the Goldilocks zone. You can take an extremely dull knife and take it to sharp using just this one stone. You can get a perfectly workable, perfectly usable, perfectly sharp edge with just 1,000 grit. You don't need to go any lower and you don't need to go any higher. It just means that your knife won't be as sharp, but you'll see later in this video, I will show you where you can get to using just a 1,000 grit stone. The last thing that we need to consider is which angle should we use when we sharpen our knife on the whetstone. Now this is somewhat of a contentious topic depending on who you speak to, but I'll break it down into two distinct categories. Broadly speaking, we have knives that come from Europe, something like a German knife, and then we have knives that come from the East, say something like a Japanese knife. Now, German, European knives are typically made of a softer steel, and their angle is a lot more wide, meaning that we want to be using an angle anywhere in the domain of 15 to 20 degrees. Japanese knives, on the other hand, are typically made from a much harder steel, meaning that you can get a much more acute angle, a much more sharp angle on the knife itself, meaning that we should be sharpening anywhere in the domain of 12 to 15 degrees. The angle of the edge of your blade will determine a number of different things. The wider the angle is, the more robust that edge will actually be. It will handle chopping big squash, big sweet potato, and typical everyday use, and it will hold up really well. The caveat to that is because that angle is really wide, you're trying to push a wide angle through vegetables and it just won't feel as sharp. A narrower angle knife, like those you'd typically find on a Japanese knife, feel razor sharp. You have an edge which is very, very acute, and it will push through vegetables with ease. The problem is they're not as robust and they don't hold up as well to everyday use as something like a German knife. They do, however, hold up pretty well because typically on a knife with a really acute angle, the steel tends to be quite hard. So, how do I determine which angle my knife should be sharpened at? First and foremost, I would try and use the internet to find the model knife that you have, and it will probably tell you which angle your knife has been set at. From there, we can just copy that angle directly onto the whetstone, and that should be enough. If for whatever reason that information doesn't exist on the internet, there are a few telltale signs that can help us determine what style knife you actually have. This handle here typically is found on a European knife. The tang of the knife goes the whole way down the blade and you have some rivets in the handle itself. This is a typical European handle, and because of that, I would be typically sharpening this knife at somewhere between 15 to 20 degrees. Now that isn't always the case. There are certainly knives with a handle like this, in fact this is one of them, which are actually a Japanese knife and need to be sharpened at more of an acute angle. However, if you know that your knife was bought from a European company, the odds are it's going to be sharpened somewhere in the vicinity of 15 to 20 degrees. Now, if you have a Japanese knife, which you will probably know that you do, they typically have a traditional handle that looks like this. Now, I say typically because they don't always have handles that look like this. It's an octagonal wooden handle, but again, not always the case. These knives will be sharpened at more of an acute angle, say 12 to 15 degrees. So now we have all that set, we know what type of knife we have. Is it German? Is it Japanese? We know what angle we're going to be sharpening that knife at. Is it 12 degrees? Is it 20 degrees? We also know which whetstone or which whetstones we're going to be using across the sharpening process. Once we have all of that, we can finally get into sharpening. Now you'll notice when you start sharpening, there is a lot of mess, and a lot of that mess can stain things. So what we're going to do, we're going to use something to protect our lovely countertop. I'm just using a cutting board in this instance. Now, because I sharpen knives relatively routinely, I have bought this holder for them. This just helps it not slide around on whatever you're working on, and I would highly recommend getting one of these if you are going to be sharpening a bit more regularly. And because I'm going to be resetting an edge that I think is quite dull, I'm going to be using the coarsest stone that I have available. And this is a 400 grit diamond plated stone, and it's going to take a lot of metal off that knife. So the fundamental movement of a whetstone is to be bringing our knife back with heavy pressure and forward with light pressure. Back with heavy pressure and forward with light pressure. One of the most important things that we need to keep in mind is what our wrist is doing. It needs to be locked in place. If your wrist is moving all over the shop, you are going to get an inconsistent angle. All of the movement should come from your elbow and your shoulder. And before you actually start sharpening, you should practice this with no pressure on the stone at all. And when it comes to applying pressure, well, I've actually filmed a video on this. So just click this link right at the top here. Now it's of course a whetstone, so we're going to apply some water to our whetstone and spread that around evenly. Now we need to choose our angle. And there are plenty of tools that you can buy to help you do this. And honestly, I wouldn't recommend getting those. I would rely on your intuition. Each blade is different and will feel different on the stone, and rely on your gut feeling here. So again, the most important thing that we're doing is keeping that wrist locked. So I'm doing everything that we've said to do so far, and after a short while, I'm actually starting to feel a burr. And I'm doing this by feeling the opposite side of the blade with my finger. Now, it wasn't the whole way up the blade, so I'm going to keep going. Now, if at any point you're pushing the knife forward, which should be done with barely any pressure at all, you feel the knife dig in, you're pressing too much, or your angle because of your wrist is changing. What you need to do is slow down and reset. You put the knife back on at the right angle, pull down with enough pressure, and we're pushing forward with barely any pressure at all while making sure the most important thing is our wrist is locked in place. And once you've felt that burr and you can feel it the whole way along the edge, we are ready to flip over, find the same angle on the other side and sharpen that edge. And that will allow us to take that burr, which is hanging over the edge of the knife, and to push it up until we now finally have an apex, which we'll be able to cut through vegetables much easier. But now that I've flipped over that edge, you can see that this is the new edge and the burr is on this side here. Now that I've sharpened both sides with that really coarse stone, I can see that I've set a new edge on this blade, and it is time to start polishing. We have removed the most metal using this particular whetstone. We're going to move up to a higher grit stone and start slowly polishing and refining that edge the higher and higher that we go. The next stone that I'm going to use is this 1000 grit stone. Now, I think this is the true Goldilocks zone. I think a 1000 grit stone can do it all. I think it can set a new edge, and I think it can sharpen and polish and hone and refine a new edge. So if you were to buy any stone and one stone only, 1000 grit is exactly where you should go, because it can set a new edge and you can get a really sharp edge using just a 1000 grit stone alone. And I'll show you exactly what I mean by that. I'm just going to take a little bit more water here, and we're basically going to rinse and repeat the exact same process that we did on a coarser stone. So we're keeping our wrist locked, we've set our angle, we're pulling back with pressure, and we're pushing forward with barely any pressure at all. So let's do that right now. So I've now sharpened one side of this knife using the 1000 grit stone. I can feel a burr again on all of the knife from bottom to top. So it's time to take that knife, flip it over, and using the exact same technique that again we just mentioned, we're going to do it on the other side now until we can feel a burr on that other side. So we're done on the 1000 grit stone. I'm just going to clean that up now. And I can see that edge is looking lovely. Under a light, you can see that now it is quite nice and refined. And I'll show you right now. This is straight from the 1000 grit stone. So as sharp as that is fantastic. And I'd be more than happy to settle there. But I have one more stone that I can use on this, and it's actually part of this stone here. Because this is a dual-sided stone, it means that we can take this stone, flip it over to the other side, and we have a 5000 grit stone on the other side, meaning that we can take that edge, which is already really quite sharp, and we can refine it even further, so it will be razor sharp. So I've finished with that 5000 grit stone now, and if I look at that edge, it's almost a mirror-like shine, meaning that this knife is very sharp. And let me show you that. So that is everything for today. I honestly would put this as possibly the most important thing in the kitchen, is having a sharp knife. It makes cooking so much easier, so much faster, and it just feels great being able to cut through a tomato or an apple or a cucumber with ease. And honestly, slicing through the paper feels pretty good as well. Not only that, it makes cooking safer. You have far more control over your knife when you have a sharp edge. You're far less likely to cut yourself if you're using the right technique. So again, this goes right at the top of my list as a home cook, as one of those things that I really think you should be doing. So if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe because we release content like this every single week. So until next week, happy cooking.